Sorry, the number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording.
Hey everyone, what you doing today? I just wanted to get on today to do a recap of Final Cut Pro news from the last week or so. In the United States here, we are starting our Memorial Day weekend tomorrow, Friday. It'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. A lot of people will be going on vacation. So I figured I'd come on and just talk some Final Cut Pro stuff. To get it on the air, we're going to talk about 10.6.3 a little bit. We're going to talk about the new Final Cut Pro certification exams that Future Media Conferences is putting out along in cooperation. Well, it's Apple, partnership with Apple. We're going to talk about, what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Wwdc a little bit. What are your expectations for Wwdc? I have a few of those myself. We'll talk about some of that and anything else Final Cut related. We're going to talk about the voice isolation feature in Final Cut, which seems to be a big, big hit. And we're going to talk about some of the feedback that I've seen about Apple that they've got from their response to the letter about professionals. So we'll do all that. Let me just check on one thing real quick. Okay, everything sounds good. I want to check on the audio online. You know, sometimes I'd spend 10, 15 minutes, no, longer than that. I spend an hour getting things ready to go, and I hit the live button and something doesn't work. Audio is not working on YouTube. This isn't working on Twitter, something else. Twitter has I broadcast on Twitter. As a matter of fact, let's see if it's live today. Yeah, it is. It is. Let me just click on that, delete that one. So we actually are live on Twitter right now. Let me just show you that. So here we are, live on Twitter. This is Twitter. The problem with Twitter is you can only use some of the punctuation. If you have see, it's frozen on Twitter now. If you have a exclamation point, for some reason, Twitter will not broadcast. The video won't go live on Twitter from an exclamation point. Why is that? I don't know, but that's one of the odd things. If I put an exclamation point in my normal title, I have to take it out of their Twitter feed. For some odd reason, I don't know why, but it just does that. Oh, let me see something here. There we go. So I'm checking my audio levels. Everything looks good. Everybody, if you have any issues with audio, go ahead and comment so I know, but I think we're fine. So the first thing let's talk about is the 10.6.3 update, which came out last week on Thursday. 1 week ago it came out, right? And this is not, 10.6.3 was a bug fix. They fixed two transition bugs and something to do with the audio effects. They fixed that as well. But 10.6.2 brought us about 6 weeks ago, brought us voice isolation in Final Cut. And there's something about that that's magical. Now, I'm not sure if the Final Cut Pro team thought that wasn't going to be a big deal. It turns out it's a very big deal. Everybody is raving about the voice isolation feature. It's not the same as getting rid of the background noise. What it does, it goes in, identifies the voice, a human voice, and brings that forward somehow. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, whatever the heck they call it, I just call it magic, because that's what it is. It's very effective. I think it defaults to 50% when you put it in, but I turned it up to 60, 75%, and I don't notice any of that artificial robotic sounding voice that we get with some of the other ones. So let me just check on something here. Okay, I'm just going to type in a comment. Make sure comments are coming through. Yes, they are coming through. Here's my test. I'll just add it to the broadcast. I'm going to bring it up. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So who all's watching from the United States? We have a holiday weekend coming up, a Memorial Day weekend. It's a bit of a somber weekend, but it's still a holiday for many. Most people that are on the government, most states, it's a holiday weekend for us. So we're going to talk about the just went live exams for Final Cut Pro certification. I know a little bit about that. I used to teach. I've taught for Final Cut for Future Media Concepts in the past. I've taught their Final Cut Pro certified classes in Washington, D.C., Delaware. I taught a class in Delaware, and I also taught a class in Chicago. They flew me out to Chicago to teach a class there. That was actually Final Cut Pro 7, though. I wasn't 10. If I recall correctly, that was Final Cut Pro 7. That's how long ago that was. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about as far as Final Cut Pro related, post related things. That's fine. Anything like that is fine. So my experience with the voice isolation feature in Final Cut is phenomenal. I've had a lot of good results with it so far. I don't know what they've done. We're also going to talk about what's in the pouch. What do I have in the pouch? I have a new toy. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. I like gizmos. This is a gizmo. I'll give you a little clue. You can see that. It says DJI. It says DJI on there. We're going to look at this in a minute too. So, what else is going on? Let me check on the cat room. Looks like everybody is sleeping. Yes, indeed. Let me just check on one thing here. Here we go. Looks like everybody's sleeping over there, so that's fine. What, with 10.6.3 came out, was everybody happy that we got the transition fixed? I mean, I think most people were happy about that. 10.6.2, they brought the voice isolation and a couple of other things, but the voice isolation is the biggest hit. And then we have this going on as well. Apple responds to the letter that they got about Final Cut Pro and professionals, right? Yes, they did. Let me just turn this around so I can see a little better. There we go. Yes, they did. They did indeed. Let's talk about that first. Let's talk about that first. So this is an article over there at CineD. Apple, Final Cut Pro, Apple replies to editor's petition. And Apple has decided to pull back the green Wizard of Final Cut Pro curtains and respond to the editor's petition publicly. But what does that mean? Will change follow, or is it simply a way for Apple to keep the peace so that all feel heard? Well, first off, some of the things that were in the petition and the letter and that Apple commented on were already in the works for Apple. These aren't things that, oh, we better start running, catch up, and we're going to start these brand new things. A lot of what's in the letter is already in the works for Apple. They've already been doing some of those things. I've read comments on Twitter that people are skeptical, and that's fine. If you're skeptical, that's fine. People have been skeptical that Apple reads emails. Now, I know for a fact that they do. I've had responses from sending in emails. Eric Emmerich says, so voice isolation, which no one was asking for, was a bigger hit than dupe detection, which everyone was asking for. Maybe Apple does know better. No, Apple likes to surprise us. Apple absolutely likes to surprise us. The voice isolation feature, which I think it was a bigger hit than dupe detection, that was a surprise. Nobody was asking for that specifically. Apple was working on it, and they surprised us. I like surprises from the Final Cut Pro team. I don't think, it's so innocuous, that little slider that says voice isolation. You just click it on and move the slider. There's a lot more things going on there than just a simple slider, but the simple slider is very, very effective. I've seen nothing but accolades online for this. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can pull this up. So I'm just going to take a screen grab of that, and then I'll put it. I'll put it in the graphics section. I don't want to pull up the whole page. Not yet. Let me pull this up. Pull this over here. So let me turn this off. Turn this off, and then pull this over. I have so many different windows. So I posted this week. Voice isolation in Final Cut Pro is so good that I'm taking Logic audio files into Final Cut Pro to clean them up. Usually it's the other way around. Usually I take Final Cut Pro files into Logic. But I'm doing a podcast this week that had a background noise, and I took the audio file into Final Cut Pro, clicked on voice isolation, bumped it up maybe to 60, 70%, exported the file, and then brought that file back into Logic. Back into Logic from Final Cut Pro. So that's how effective that is, voice isolation. I'm using Final Cut Pro's voice isolation before I bring files into Logic. So this tweet's got 29 likes and a bunch of comments and stuff. So I think nobody was expecting the voice isolation to be so popular, but as soon as I started using it, I said, man, there's something going on here. I'm going to turn my mail off here a second. Quit. Don't need that on for sure. So how's everybody doing? If you're from the United States, this is Memorial Day weekend. It's a somber weekend, but it's a good weekend. It kicks the summer off typically. Usually pools open and stuff happens after Memorial Day. But it was the comment that Eric says, so voice isolation, which no one was asking for, was a bigger hit than dupe detection, which everybody was asking for. Maybe Apple does know better. It's not that Apple knows better, I don't think, because dupe detection was absolutely needed, but Apple likes to surprise us. And that's exactly what I like Apple and the Final Cut Pro team to do. Give us some surprises in there, surprise features. That was a nice one. Very, very nice. Voice isolation. Everybody was expecting dupe detection, but I don't think nobody was expecting voice isolation. So let's turn this off. What do we have here? Oh, here we go. This is the other thing that's happened this week. Exams are now live. Social Pro, Video Pro, Post-Production Pro. You can find those at fcpcertifications.com, right? Let me just pull something up here real quick. I'm going to go, because this was a concern to some. There was a concern to some I think it's always at the bottom. Let me just see. Yeah, there we go. This was a concern to some. It was not a concern to me. I'm a bit on the inside baseball on this one, but some people were wondering if Apple was indeed involved with this training. Well, here it is on the Apple site, Apple Final Cut Pro site, I should say, not just the Apple site, but the Apple Final Cut Pro site. You can see it's Final Cut Pro, and this is new Pro Video Training and Certification, whether you're a social media creator, film and television editor, post-production expert, the new Pro Training and Certification program developed by Future Media Concepts in partnership with Apple. Apple, that's not Future Media Concepts. That's the old FMC. It's Future Media Conferences. What does it say right here? What does it say right there? Future Media, FMC Training Conferences. They've changed the C from concepts to conferences, so you should change that. Anyway, developed by Future Media Concepts in partnership with Apple. Partnership with Apple covers everything from editing basics to advanced color correction. You can get certified and demonstrate your Final Cut Pro capabilities while gaining a competitive edge in an ever-changing industry. Learn more. It goes right to the FMC certification page. So they have the exams up now, but they're going to have training programs on live online interactive courses, certification prep and exams. So let's go there. Certifications. And they're going to have exam sign up. This is what's coming. Prep course sign up. That's what's coming. You will be able to do a prep course before you take the exam. That's nice. That's what you need. Prep course sign up coming July 2022. So a little over a month and a half maybe. They're all three of them are coming in 2022. July 2022. So you'll be able to take a course to prep before you take the exam. But that's Final Cut Pro team doing exactly what I like them to do. Deliver surprises to us. So the Final Cut Pro exams, so the letter for Final Cut Pro comes out in April. These exams and this training has been in plans for months, 6 months or longer. It has nothing to do with that letter that was sent. Zero. This was already in the works. Already in the works. It was going to be announced March, April, May. So that's one example of something in the letter that was not affected. This was not affected by the letter. This was already in the works. Some of the other things were also already in the works. But I'm glad that Apple responded. The letter is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're respectful, which it was. That was our friend Alex Gallner put that out. He was the architect behind that. Nobody else. Alex was the one. Other websites like to claim that, like the claimant, like they're responsible. They're not responsible. But it's all good. It's all good. So let's go back to here. This is Apple decided to pull back the Wizard of Final Cut, the green Wizard of Final Cut Pro curtains. That's not what happened. There's no pulling back of the green Wizard. They just responded to an online petition. It's fine because Apple absolutely should respond to editors' needs. They absolutely should. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Let me see what's going on here. So this is what it said. To the authors of the recent open letter regarding Final Cut Pro in the TV and film industry, the creative community has always been important to us at Apple. We know that. We already know that. I mean, they say the words sometimes. In the last 3 years, it didn't seem like the development of Final Cut Pro was slow. Absolutely. So Apple goes on to say, which I've said all along, there have been many compelling projects created to date with Final Cut Pro, from Hollywood movies and high-profile commercials to major television shows, and impressive work by the biggest names in online content creation. Absolutely. What the heck? We know Hollywood films have been done with Final Cut Pro. We know television shows have been done with Final Cut Pro. The idea that they can't be done, it's nonsense. People say that it's nonsense. We've already seen it. Multiple films, multiple television shows, multiple high-end commercials. It's just that it doesn't have all of the nuts and bolts that Hollywood typically requires. That's understandable. While we believe we have plans in place to help address your important feature requests, see right there, they have plans in place. They already had these plans in place before the letter and before their response, but they also recognize the need to build on these efforts. So they already had plans in place, but they recognize they weren't doing enough. That's what they said. We also recognize the need to build on these efforts and work alongside you to help support your films and TV projects and keep you posted on important updates. This includes taking the following steps. Once again, launching new training and products for certification with Future Media Concepts. This was already on the books for the last 6 months. This was nothing to do with that letter. This is interesting. Establishing a panel of industry experts for regular consultations starting this summer. That's perhaps a result of the letter. This is also perhaps a result of the letter. Expanding the content and frequency of Final Cut Pro workshops for major film and television productions. There you go. We would love to work with you, help support your film and TV projects, and we continue to explore opportunities that allow us to better connect and foster important dialogue with our devoted community of users going forward. So absolutely, they've been poked. Hey, Apple, this is Final Cut Pro. We all love Final Cut Pro. Please give it a little more attention. So this is an interesting, well, we see new Final Cut Pro alongside Mac Pro at WWDC. So they have shown a new version of Final Cut Pro the last two WWDCs. They didn't go into details, but they have shown it. Now, WWDC is coming in 10 days, something like that, 10 or 12 days, a little less than 2 weeks. I expect they will show the new M2 Mac Pro, Macs, whatever they are. The Mac Pro, yes, because the Mac Pro should be out this fall at an Apple event. Because this fall, November, is the 2-year timetable that Apple announced at WWDC 2 years ago. They said, we're going to introduce the new first Apple Silicon Mac later this year, which I think came out October, November, and then that'll start a 2-year roadmap to finish all of our products. I certainly expect to see the new Mac Pro. I'm going to say it's the M2 Mac Pro. I don't know why they would put out an M1 Mac Pro. The M1's going to be 2 years old in October, November. So I think that we're going to see a preview of the new Mac Pro, the M2 Mac Pro at WWDC. Now, if they show the new Mac Pro at WWDC, which I expect, they're probably going to show with the new version of Final Cut Pro, Final Cut Pro 10.7. I expect at the Apple event in the fall, in November, October, November, I expect to see the M2 Mac Pro and Final Cut Pro 10.7 as well. That's what I expect. I don't know if they'll identify it as 10.7 at WWDC. They might just say a new version of Final Cut Pro, and then whatever happens, happens. So between now and then, we had 10.6.2, we had 10.6.3 as the bug fix. That leaves about 5 months between now and the fall when they do the Apple event, which I expect 10.7, Final Cut Pro 10.7. And there could be another update. I don't know if there's any bugs that I've seen specifically, but there could be another update. So let's look at the, here's the cat room. Let me show you. We had an early morning visitor this week. Look at this. Pileated woodpecker. I caught this with my iPhone. I had to sneak around the curtain so he didn't see me and fly away. Beautiful bird. Beautiful bird. We get them. We've had the pileated woodpecker and a couple of other woodpeckers, and we get bluebirds, and we get all kinds of other birds at the bird feeder in the backyard. So now let me just show you one more thing. While I'm showing you videos, here's one more, and then you'll see what my little project is. So I've been using the Rode Wireless Go mic system for years. I have it right here. This is the Rode Wireless Go 2. The Rode Wireless Go 2 system for years, and it's been really, really good. But this, I'm going to sell this on Facebook Marketplace for local pickup because I got this. This is phenomenal. This is the Dji Little Mics. And they are absolutely phenomenal. All the attachments, everything except for the cables, fit in this case. This case is not only a case that takes a single USB-C charging cable and it charges all three of the devices. It also stores the USB-C pin, the lightning pin, and the clip-on, the cold shoe clip-on here. And look how small this thing is. Look how small. This thing is tiny. The quality is really, really good. It's half the size of the Rode Wireless Go. They sound very similar, just about exactly the same. There's a whole bunch of features that this DJI mic has that the Rode Wireless Go doesn't have. Things like the Rode Wireless Go has 3 different apps. I don't know why they didn't make one, but they have 3 different apps that you need to adjust some of the features in the Rode Wireless Go. The DJI, no app needed. All the adjustments are in the receiver. This is a touch screen, and everything is done with this touch screen. All your settings, your volume, etc. You don't need any app whatsoever. That's one of the many, many things. This case also, besides being a case that charges these with one single USB-C cable instead of 3 cables with the other one, it's also a battery, a backup battery. You keep them in here and it charges. You can see the charge status on the front with these lights right here. So anyway, I really, really like that new DJI system. I just finally got it. I had an order with B&H for I started in April. It didn't come out, so I canceled it. May, didn't come out, I canceled it. I got it on Amazon, on the DJI store. It finally came in. So, what else do we have today? Let me just check what else we have today. WWDC. What are you expecting at WWDC? I am expecting, like I said, I'm expecting to see, I'm not worried about the developer stuff. That's not my field. My field is Final Cut Pro and Macs and stuff. And will I get a new Mac Pro? Maybe. I might. If I get a new Mac Pro, though, I probably will not get a new MacBook Pro, the 16-inch. I do not expect to see a new M2 16-inch MacBook Pro this year because that would be less than a year old. This came out November of last year. I got my MacBook Pro, my 16-inch with the M1 Max chip, and I would be shocked if they released another one within a year. Usually it's 1.5 to 2 years. So I expect the MacBook Pro to come out next spring or next fall. This year, a new Mac Mini, a new Mac Pro, maybe a new MacBook Air. These are all 2 years plus old at this point. The Mac Pro, of course, was 2019. So I'm not saying they're going to be released, but I think they're going to be announced for later in the year. That's what I would expect. And with a new version of Final Cut, either mentioned or previewed, either way. The other thing is, let me just check on something, classes. So one of the things that I found, I expected, and it came true, is people responded on Twitter to the Final Cut Pro, to Apple responding to the Final Cut Pro. And a lot of people were skeptical. about Apple doing anything with the pro community. As far when we say the pro community, we just specifically mean Hollywood, TV, film, television production. I'm not the least bit surprised that Apple responded, because they've told us when we go to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, every time we have private sessions with the Final Cut Pro team, they've told us that, of course, Hollywood and television's on their radar as far as paying attention. I think they're going to pay a little more attention to them now. That's fine. And they should, because anything that benefits Hollywood pretty much benefits everybody. One of the biggest main features that they have to tackle, I have no idea what they're doing with this, is collaboration. That is one of the main features that is on the agenda for working with Hollywood and television, is collaboration with multiple editors, multiple colorists, audio people. However they're going to figure that out, that's one of the main things. Right now it's a bit clunky, to say the least. So what do you think about the Final Cut Pro certification exams? Is anybody going to take them up? Is anybody going to get one of those? I'm a trainer for Final Cut Pro. I'm not sure how they're going to incorporate existing trainers, but I would not be surprised if they work something out for that. But anyway, happy Final Cut Pro week to everybody. Happy 10.6.3 and 10.6.2. Congratulations to the Final Cut Pro team for doing a great job. We like that. We like when you do a good job. I hope the next year or so is more active for Final Cut Pro updates than the last 3 have been. So people talk about updates for Final Cut Pro. Here's my 101 requests for Final Cut Pro. Go to fcpx.tv and click on this right here, top requests, right on the main page. And you'll get this page. Plenty of requests here. Pro audio features, audio mixer with master volume control, AU plugin inserts, keyframe recording, etc. Project improvements. Playback scrubbing in the browser and the ability to add a project to another project. In Final Cut Pro 7, you could take a project from the browser and drop it onto another project in the timeline, and it would add the two together. Well, I'd like to see that in Final Cut Pro 10. That's one of the many requests that I have. Project improvements. True round tripping integration with motion, a clip logger, which I've talked about before, a better dedicated keyframe editor with advanced keyframe adjustments, etc. Let me go down the list because we've already covered these in prior. Color coding, sort by color for video clips, audio clips, events, projects, storylines. This is Logic's color palette. This is Final Cut Pro's color palette. Logic, Final Cut Pro. I like Logic's a lot better. It's still restrictive, but why not give us something besides these earthy, crunchy, dull colors? I'd like to see that and being able to use them in Final Cut Pro. Select multiple edit points to perform actions on all of them, like extend to playhead. How about that? Option to attach a clip, compound clip, storyline to any other clip, compound clip, or storyline. May be complicated. That's fine. You can figure it out. The team is smart. Media management. Options to compact the library, event, or project by getting rid of any unused media with handles option. This is one some people like. Some people like the way it is now. I like to see name, buttons, tabs in the project timeline rather than the awkward, confusing backwards, forwards arrows that they have now. I would much rather directly click here to go to a project, click here, with an X to close that project. Close it, close it, close it. That's my preference. If you don't like that, that's fine. Everybody doesn't have to like everything. On, off, master switch, or enable, disable the primary and secondary storylines. Can't do that now. A single master searchable database across all previously opened libraries. I'd like to see that. Anytime you open a library, it's the information in that library is saved some kind of a master database. That way you can search across libraries when they're not open. Right now, you got to, in Final Cut Pro, in order to search, you have to have the library open. So, Chris McDevitt says, yes, that's on my to-do list to get a certification. And Eric says, probably no training for me, don't need it. You can always benefit from some training, whether you need it. If you have a job, you might not need it, but you can always benefit from training. I've taught classes, and I'm surprised at some of the things that people don't know. It's like Swiss cheese. There's a lot of holes in the training. So the training doesn't hurt you. The training, don't be scared of the training. Getting a certification is fine. The training itself, though, it doesn't hurt. It can only, if you know everything, that's fine. When I teach a class and somebody knows everything, I let them help the people that don't know as much. They can help you that way. All right, everyone. My name is Richard Taylor, as you probably know. And I'm going to start my weekend. Tonight's Thursday. Oh, by the way, what are you watching on television? Right now, we're watching the best TV show, in my opinion, right now, is Shining Girls on Apple TV. It is really, really good. It starts out as a crime drama. And then there's some weirdness happens in there that you're saying, what the heck? How is that possible? And some weirdness twists things around where it's not just a normal crime drama. Really, really good. Elizabeth Moss is superb in this. You know why she's superb? She looks like an ordinary woman. She's not super glamorous. Doesn't look like a model. She looks like a normal woman. She is so good in this series. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's called Shining Girls. I'm not sure why it's called Shining Girls yet. I haven't figured that out. Don't need the search. Got it. Yeah, the search, absolutely. I might be teaching those classes. We'll have to see how that works out. I'm already certified for Final Cut Pro. I'm an Apple certified trainer for Final Cut Pro, so we'll see how they incorporate the Apple certified trainers. All us trainers want to know how that's going to work out. I would teach in Washington probably and maybe do a few virtual sessions. It would not be anything close to full-time. I'm not interested in full-time work right now. Part-time, yeah. Part-time, right. That's fine. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. Upstart Crow, BBC America. Upstart Crow? That's a TV show? BBC America. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I haven't heard of that one before. I've been watching, I don't watch that much television, but like during the day, I don't watch it at all. When I have dinner, which is shortly, not too far from now, another hour or so, I'll sit down and watch some television when we're having dinner. But Shining Girls, huge fan of Shining Girls. I'm also watching couple of other shows. but I can't remember them. But Shining Girls is really, really good. So, everyone, have a good weekend. If you're in the United States, we're doing the Memorial Day weekend this weekend, which is typically a 4-day weekend for most of us. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Memorial Day is actually on Monday. And then that's our start of the summer. Summer actually starts June 21st, but we started after Memorial Day. All right, everyone, I'm going to be doing some kind of a review of the DJI mics. Not extensive because there's lots of good reviews out, but I really, really like these. Nice compact case. Everything is in the case. Stays charged. It has a battery backup, so if you're out in the field, you just plop these things back in there and they recharge without any connection whatsoever. Really, really enjoying this. All right, everyone. Everybody have a good weekend. People in the United States, Memorial Day weekend for us.